Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a cleanup. Sorry. This is a cleanup bill to last year's Senate Bill 166. That bill created new requirements for CADC supervisors, which are certified alcohol drug counselors. That board was given up to a year to require supervisors to meet these requirements and have had trouble doing that. This bill has been requested by the board and passed the Senate 31-0. At this time, I would like to yield to the lady from Kenton 64 for a floor amendment.
Chair recognizes the lady from Kenton 64.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would ask the clerk to please report House Floor Amendment 3.
Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 3 to Senate Bill 178.
Lady from Kenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Floor Amendment 3 expands the Medicaid. It's essentially House Bill 174, which passed this body, but it is added to Senate Bill 178 to expand Medicaid for postpartum women for up to 1 year. And it also includes language which was added in that committee sub, which dealt with termination of parental rights as it related to women whose babies were born with NAS, neonatal abstinence syndrome. And these women will, in this amendment, be offered an assessment and connection to a certified peer support specialist prior to discharge from the hospital, and will have 90 days to enter treatment before termination proceedings of termination of parental rights would begin. And the third thing that this amendment does is to include language from Senate Bill 43 to improve and consolidate oversight of the Child Welfare Oversight Committee. Mr. Speaker, if there are no questions, I move adoption.
So the motion is for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 3. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Those opposed, nay. House Floor Amendment 3 is adopted. Gentleman Carter.
Mr. Speaker, at this time, I would like to yield to the lady from Jefferson 44 for a floor amendment.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson 44.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the clerk report Floor Amendment 1?
Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 178.
Lady from Jefferson.
Thank you. This floor amendment would simply allow a drug treatment company that utilizes buprenorphine, I've practiced saying that and I've failed, only treatments for opioid addiction, the ability to apply to operate as a narcotic treatment program, an NTP. Currently, Kentucky's laws are set up to only allow companies that use methadone to apply to operate as an NTP. This floor amendment will not change any laws regarding methadone clinics. It simply allows providers who are using buprenorphine, only treatments to be permitted to apply to operate as an NTP. Existing providers can also stay in their existing models. This floor amendment only gives bupe providers the option to apply to operate as an NTP. Not all will apply to be in an NTP, as some may not like the extra regulatory oversight and may continue in their existing models. If there be no questions, I would move for passage of Floor Amendment 1.
Motion is for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 1. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Those opposed, nay. House Floor Amendment 1 is adopted. Gentleman Carter.
If there are no further questions, I move passage of Senate Bill 178 as amended by House Floor Amendment 1, House Floor Amendment number 3.
Question before the body is passage of Senate Bill 178 is amended by House Floor Amendment 1 and House Floor Amendment 3. Is there any discussion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would ask that the clerk please call floor amendment 6, which was just filed this morning, and ask that we suspend the rules to hear it.
Motion of the gentleman from Jessamine is to suspend the rules for the purpose of allowing him to call and act upon House Floor Amendment 6, which was filed today, but requires suspension of the rules, which is not debatable, requires a constitutional majority of 51. Those in favor of suspension of the rules, vote aye. Those opposed to suspension of the rules, vote nay. Roll call is open for your vote. All members voted. Clerk will take the roll. 30 members voting aye fell short of the 51 vote threshold for suspension of the rules. Gentleman Carter.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to yield to the lady from Kenton 64 for a floor amendment.
Lady from Kenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I filed an amendment a little while ago to add language from Senate Bill 68, which would add third-party oversight and transparency of our single PBM. It's a bill that, and language that passed this body last year and passed the Senate earlier. And I would ask that we suspend the rules to have the clerk please call House Floor Amendment 5.
Motion of the lady from Kenton 64 is for suspension of the rules to allow for her to call and act upon House Floor Amendment 5, which was filed today. Motion is non-debatable, requires a constitutional majority of 51 to suspend the rules. Those in favor of suspension of the rules, vote aye. Those opposed to suspension of the rules, vote nay. Roll call is open for your vote.
This will benefit injured workers by getting them their medical treatment sooner. It will benefit the employers by reducing the time injured workers off the job. And it benefits insurers by reducing medical review and litigation costs. I encourage the members of this body to sustain this veto to get the workers, the employers, and the taxpayers of Kentucky a better deal than this bill allows.
Pike, speak to the motion.
Sever perhaps the senator from Harlan. I've practiced war workers' comp cases on behalf of claimants and anybody in this chamber. And with all due respect to the senators from Jefferson 19, he's just wrong about this regulation. That's what I wanted to do.
Have all members voted? Clerk will take the roll. 53 members voting aye, the rules are suspended. Lady from Kenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but if not, I move adoption.
Motion is for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 5. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. House Floor Amendment 5 is adopted. General Carter.
Passage of Senate Bill 178 is amended by House Floor Amendments 1, 3, and 5.